All right, so in this video I'm going to show you how to subtract mixed numbers with regrouping. Okay, so you would start with two mixed numbers. Here we have 6 and 5/12 and 2 and 3/4, and we're subtracting them. So we always start off the same way. We separate our whole numbers and our mixed numbers with a line. So we keep them separate, and then the same step for every other mixed number problem is the same as well. So we want to find common denominators between our two fractions so that we can subtract them properly. So in this case we have 4 and 12. A common denominator for those two could actually be 12 because 4 goes into 12, so we'll just use 12 as our common denominator. And up here at the top, 12 times 1 is 12, so 5 times 1 is 5. And then here in the bottom, the connection between 4 and 12 is to multiply by 3. So we'll do the same thing on the top, and then 3 times 3 is 9. So now we have 5/12 minus 9/12, but our problem is that we can't subtract 9 from 5. If we do, we'll get a negative number, so we don't want to do that. So now what we're going to do instead is something called regrouping. So here we're going to borrow from our whole number on the top here. We're going to borrow from the 6, turn that into a 5. And then we're going to take that whole number we just borrowed and we're going to put a 1 in front of the 5/12. So now we have 1 and 5/12 minus 9/12. But we can't do that still. We have to turn this into an improper fraction. So in order to turn that mixed number into an improper fraction, we want to go 1 times 12 is 12, and then 12 plus 5 is 17. Okay, 17 becomes our numerator. We bring over our old denominator, and now we have 17/12. So 1 and 5/12 is equal to 17/12. Now it will be easy to subtract. All we have to do is take 17 and subtract 9, and we end up with 8. So 8 is our numerator, and 12 stays our denominator, and we end up with 8/12 as our fraction side. And then on the other side, all you have to do is subtract the whole number. So 5 minus 2 is 3, so our answer is 3 and 8/12. Okay, you can also simplify 8/12. You can divide both sides by 4 and end up with 2/3. Okay, so really a perfect simplified answer would be 3 and 2/3. Okay? So that is the first example problem, but I am going to go through 2 more practice problems with you just to make sure you got it, okay? So let's look at another one. Here we have 7 and 1/3 minus 2 and 5/6. So again, always separate our whole numbers and our fractions first, and then we want to find common denominators between our two fractions. So we have here 3 and 6. 3 can go into 6, so we're just going to use 6 as our denominator. 6 and 6, so we don't need to do anything to the 5/6. 5/6 stays the same. But up here at the top, between 3 and 6, we have to multiply by 2. So 3 times 2 is 6. We'll do the same thing on the top. 1 times 2 is 2. So here we are in the same situation. We have 2/6 minus 5/6, but we cannot subtract 5 from 2. So again, we have to borrow from our whole numbers. So we're going to borrow from the 7, turn that into a 6, and then that whole number that we just took from the 7, we're going to put here and make this 1 and 2/6. All right? So now I'm going to show you a little bit closer. I'm going to zoom in actually on how I'm turning the 1 and 2/6 into an improper fraction. So 1 and 2/6, all you have to do to turn this into an improper fraction is we are going to multiply across the bottom. So 1 times 6 equals 6, and then we add that numerator. So 6 plus 2 is 8, and then we just pull over that old denominator and we end up with 8/6. So just wanted to close in on how that process actually works. It should be a review, but you want to multiply across the bottom, add at the top, and then you have your new numerator. All right, so that is that process. So 1 and 2/6 is equal to 8/6 as an improper fraction. And now we can easily subtract. 8 minus 5 is 3. And we just pull down that 6 as our denominator, and we have 3/6. And then 6 minus 2 is 4. So our end answer is 4 and 3/6. But again, 3/6 can be simplified. So if we divide both sides by 3, we end up with 1/2. So our perfect simplified answer would be 4 and 1/2. Okay? So that is practice problem number 2. We have one more to go over. All right, 5 and 2/6 minus 1 and 2/4. Separate our whole numbers and our fractions, and now let's turn these two fractions into fractions that can work together. They have the same denominator. 6 and 4. Now 4 can't go into 6 and 6 can't go into 4, so we're going to have to find another number that both of these numbers can go into. And I know that both numbers can go into 12, so let's just use 12. All right, the connection between 4 and 12 is to multiply by 3, so do the same thing on the top and we get 6/12. 6 times 2 equals 12, and 2 times 2 equals 4. 4 minus 6, can't do it. So we're going to borrow from our whole number up here. This 5, we're going to turn it into a 4, and we'll put a 1 in front of the 4/12. So now we have 1 and 4/12. 1 times 12 is 12, and 12 plus 4 is 16. We pull over that 12 as our denominator, and now we have 16/12 minus 6/12, and that is going to end up being 10/12 as our fraction, which can be simplified to, if you divide both sides by 2, because they're both even, so we can divide both sides by 2 and we end up with 5/6. That would be the simplified version. And then 4 minus 1 is 3. So 3 and 5/6 would be our perfect simplified answer. Okay, you can always go back and watch this video again. You can pause at this point where you see all the work done at once, or you can always rewind and just look at a few at a time. And of course, you can always ask me for help. All right, good luck.